with that, welcome to your Media Mosh Podcast. I am your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews. I want to watch on your streaming services, your television, and your local theater, if you're willing to go. Let's get right into it, folks. This is not your typical Christmas special, even though it is week before Christmas. I just want to, first, let's put to bed some of the rumors that my show was canceled. Because it's been about a week and a half, possibly even 2 weeks since I've been on. And to be forthright with you people, there was just a lot of stuff going on around my house. The place where I normally would record was under renovation. One of my kids being home, my wife working out of home half the time, I didn't have a room to record in. And secondly, for whatever reason, whatever room I picked outside of my normal room, I kept getting feedback on the mic that I could not, for some reason, figure out how to get rid of. So the sound quality, not like the sound quality now is spectacular, but it was shit. So that is the main reason why. So in between that, I have watched a lot, and this is kind of an impromptu show today. I am going scriptless. I did not prep for this show at all. My kids are at camp right now. It's the eve of Christmas Eve, so December 23rd. So I'm just chilling in the house right now. Everyone's out. So let's roll into it scriptless. Some of the news is obviously really old, but the best news that I heard was It's Always Sunny has been renewed for 4 more years. That brings it to their 18th season, I believe. That is quite impressive. And I will say, and I know that's not a show for everybody, but there hasn't really been a bad season. Yes, there's been a couple episodes that were maybe a little off, but as far as like a whole season, they are still right peaking, in my opinion. So that was big thumbs up for me with It's Always Sunny getting renewed for 4 more years. Then, of course, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, Disney dropped every show they're bringing, which is a lot of stuff. And you already know what shows are coming. The one I'm actually most interested in is the Loki show, just based on the trailer that I saw. I think it's going to be a very interesting show. Plus, I love Tom Hiddleston, and I had no idea Owen Wilson was in that show. And I've always had, not a thing for Owen Wilson, but I kind of like when he's in movies. I haven't seen him in a while, so it was interesting to see him in this Loki movie. Then you got all your Star Wars news, of course. You have a Boba Fett, the Rosario Dawson character, which I haven't talked to you since like episode 2 of The Mandalorian. We'll get into that a little bit, but her show's coming. They got like 4 spin-off shows coming. And I'll get into Jon Favreau again in a minute too, as I am going through my thoughts here. Just saw the trailer for Coming to America 2, which I thought was going to be released in December, and now it's March. But they did drop the first trailer for it. It's going to be on Amazon Prime, and it doesn't look bad. Like, I don't have like a high bar for it, because that is, in my opinion, one of Eddie Murphy's top 5 movies. And but it doesn't look bad. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. I'm excited to see it, actually. We need something good going into 2021, because 2020 is I don't have to say anything else. You just fill in the blank on your own there. And my biggest decision now is honestly what to do this Christmas. Usually I go to the movies for Christmas, and this year I was going to go see Wonder Woman 1984. But as you know, HBO Max, if you have it, you can watch it with your, just with your subscription. So my daughter wants to see it, my son wants to see it. So I'm like, do I shell out the 40 whatever $50 it is to go to the movies plus concessions, so we're probably talking about $70, or should I just do the free 30-day trial of HBO Max, watch it, and then maybe go see it in the theater screen myself? I think I just talked myself into doing what I'm going to do, but I will see it in the theater eventually. But I think, all right, thanks for helping me out, guys. I think I will try the HBO Max trial for 30 days. I'll eventually get it. Like I said, I don't want it right now. Let me see. Oscar Isaac, who I love as an actor, was cast in the Metal Gear Solid movie as Snake, based on the great Sony PlayStation video game series. I kind of dropped after, I think it was the second Metal Gear that came out. Then I recently tried to play the last one, and it's just, I'm not good at video games anymore, guys. I'm very select few. A little Spider-Man 3 news. Now, everyone's freaking out, and because of all the different cameos that are going to be in here, I guess like everyone from the original Spider-Man, like pretty much you name it, they're rumored or confirmed to be in this film, and they're afraid that's going to ruin the movie. I've heard some people say they turned Spider-Man into Iron Man Jr., which I could kind of see, but I think eventually he'll do his own thing. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I'm not even really worried because we don't know in what capacity they're going to use all these people. It may be flashbacks. It may be just like a legit cameo. So I'm not worried about it until they prove me wrong or fail. They haven't failed me yet as far as like the Spider-Man movies go. Not personally in my like top 5 of MCU stuff, but not like anything near like Thor 2 or Iron Man 2, which I just rewatched Iron Man 2. God awful. I mean, that film was god awful. The only redeeming quality was really the introduction of Black Widow. That's about it. I'm like in this weird phase where I'm just going, because I haven't seen a lot of the MCU movies in a long time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start from phase 1. And like once a week, I'm just going to pop in a movie and just go right through it. So I got through Thor, which I enjoyed more seeing it after not seeing it for like several years. I really dug that movie more than I remember doing. So that was good. Next on my list is the Captain America First Avengers movie. And then we'll go from there. Currently, what's on Netflix, you have the new George Clooney movie coming out today, The Midnight Sky, I think it's called. But I'm going to go check out the new anime series. They just dropped that last week. It's the Wolverine, which is separate. Then they have an X-Men animated show on Netflix. I think I'm going to get into a little bit of that this week. I think that's all the news I wanted to talk to you off the top of my head here. So yeah, there's going to be no top 10 shows and movies on Netflix right now. I'm not even going to give you a box office report. I do have a Apple show to recommend to you, and that is Mythic Quests, Raven's Banquet. It's on Apple TV. If you have a new Apple device, you will have a free year subscription to Apple TV. That's what I did. I activated mine. I will say Apple TV itself is not the most user-friendly platform I've messed around with, so it's kind of hard to navigate. But once you land on it, it is a fantastic show, and it's about, you have Mac from It's Always Sunny. You have the great F. Murray Abraham in it as well, and you have Rickety Cricket also from It's Always Sunny in it. And he pretty much created like a Dungeons and Dragons type of video game, and it's about his development team and him trying to stay on top and throwing new quirks or new missions in the game and new weapons in the game. But it is smartly written. It is a very underrated, I think, funny show. And Mac kind of is still playing Mac from It's Always Sunny. Slightly different tone, but like it's still the same vibe, if you know what I mean. So if you have Apple TV, it's one of those 22-minute shows. It is a great show, and that is called Mythic Quest, A Raven's Banquet. I did finish Big Mouth, and I'm not going to... I'll fully review that because I want to write some of that stuff out for that next week. But, before I do forget, if you have Disney Plus, they are putting Soul on there, the Jamie Foxx Pixar movie, December 25th. I'm not sure if they're going to try to do Mulan where you have to pay for it or if it's going to be absolutely free. But anyway, check it out. And hopefully it's free because I do want to kind of see that movie. Let's start with the really bad. I ended up seeing Ava on Netflix. And that was, I think it's still in the top 10 with Jessica Chastain, Colin Farrell, who I didn't realize was in it, and John Malkovich. And she pretty much plays... It's like a Jason Bourne-esque type of movie where she's a spy but starts growing conscious and ends up talking to her victims a little bit too long for the liking of Colin Farrell, who is her direct boss, and John Malkovich is her handler. And the company turns on her, and it's like a cat and mouse. Colin Farrell wants to kill her. John Malkovich is trying to protect her. It's kind of one of those movies. Some good action scenes, really, but the screenplay, I think I read where this thing was handed off to several different people, and you can tell they're trying to set it up for a franchise, but no originality. Jessica Chastain did what she did. She did what she could. She's really good, and she's sneakily hot, and I say sneaky hot. I'm more or less talking about her sweater puppies. Like, I had no idea that those things were lurking there, but I will say she does need to go to the Tom Cruise School of Running because there's a couple scenes where she had to sprint and gosh, she looked like I don't know, like a shot ostrich trying to run down an alley. That's the only way I could describe it. It was terrible, but she pulls off action very well. There was a scene with John Malkovich and Colin Farrell. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but that was like really unrealistic. And on the flip side, it didn't look as honky and weird as I thought it would. I didn't think that scene would play, being that John Malkovich is like, I don't know, in his 70s, somewhere around there. I was like, okay. But it wasn't as bad as I thought. And I don't know if they'll do a sequel. I doubt it. But they missed their opportunity because the screenplay and the writing and even the directing was kind of all over the place. So I wish they would have given her a better vehicle to handle, because she is a great actress. So I'm going to give Ava a 2 out of 5, basically on cast, and there were several good scenes in the movie, but that's about it. I mean, her backstory and her family stuff. Oh, Gina Davis is in it as well. Sorry, plays her mother, and they have a lot of issues. So yeah, just stronger writing, it would have got a little higher. So that is Ava on Netflix right now. Again, that's been in the top 10 for like the last several weeks. Now let's turn to the maybe one of the worst movies I've seen this year. That's pretty much just based on my hype of what I had going into the movie. And you can find it on Disney Plus. It is the live action Mulan remake. 73% critic score with a 50% audience score. Oh boy. I was so amped to see this based on the trailers. I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing a war epic. It's a little more serious. But man, I did not realize it was going to be as bad as it was. I mean, I don't know the lead actress's name. I don't want to try to butcher it, but it's like, well, not as I say that, I'm going to butcher it. Ji-Fu Liu, she was fine. Donnie Yen was in it. He's great. Jason Scott Lee. You even have Jet Li in there. So great cast. But on one hand, I do give it credit in what separates it from all the other live action Disney remakes, besides being bad, is they did try to change a lot and make it different than the animated version, which I applaud the effort. I really do, because I don't like watching live shot for shot remakes. I'd rather just, like I've said many times, just throw in the animated movie. So, obviously there's no dragon that follows her around. There's now like a flying phoenix who doesn't really help her do shit. She has a sister, which she didn't have in the first one, which in my head I'm like, were the Chinese even allowed to have more than one daughter? Like, I don't know. That was a legit question I had in my head. She ends up falling in love with someone in her squad, not her commander, because her commander is Donnie Yen. So they changed that dynamic. They added a whole witch storyline in here that actually helps Jason Scott Lee's character try to take over and move forth in China. I actually liked that entry into the live action movie, because she, I think, had the most complete story arc. It wasn't hokey, it wasn't bad. I actually did like that aspect of the movie. I thought that was an interesting way to go. And for her, when her character arc came to the end, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. That was a cool bit of the story. But the biggest crime this movie committed is it took out like all the humor. Like all the humor. Obviously no songs, which is fine. The couple jokes they had in here just fell flat. Like it had, again, and I hate to say this, it had no heart. It didn't have a heart. So if they went in like the original one, just try to add some more of that humor in there, even without the songs, I think it would have played better. But man, it just was a drab. It was a boring movie to watch. Again, I rank this one. I agree more with the audience. So I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Again, just based on, one, the effort and the idea of doing something different in the cast. So just watch your beware when you go into this new Mulan movie. It is probably it is the worst live Disney remake, and it is absolutely one of the worst movies I've seen in 2020. Now, let's get into one of the better movies I've seen this year, and this is on Amazon Prime. This is called The Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed. You last saw him in Venom, that dud of a movie, and Olivia Cook-Law, who I have no idea who she is sitting at 96% critic score with an 89% audience score. Now, I'm going to talk non-spoiler, obviously, because I really want you to see this movie. Riz Ahmed plays a character in a rock band. He's not married. He's with his girlfriend, who's the lead singer, but also his manager. And all of a sudden, he goes deaf. And it's about him trying to handle this new thing in his life while being a recovering addict as well. So they end up bringing him to like this farm, this deaf community, and he's trying to learn how to sign. And what I really appreciate about this movie is raw and is kind of sometimes hard to watch. But it was the first movie that really gives you an insight in a deaf person's world. Because his goal, obviously, is to stay with his girlfriend and to play his music. So his goal is to get that surgery that'll put kind of the implants on the outside of your head. And that's his main goal. While the people in the community are teaching him that, deafness isn't a disability, it's something to cultivate and learn and adapt and just deal with it. And that's who you are now. So there's that struggle as well. But there's a couple scenes in here, like there's a dinner scene and it's completely quiet, like you would imagine. But then they turn the sound on. It's like plates clacking, people laughing and all that stuff. And just the sound of them eating and everything. It was it was a unique look. That's all I'm going to say. I'm kind of like at a loss for words, but it was a really good, unique view. And again, it is a hard watch because there's that relationship with his girlfriend. And she has her own issues as well. And it's just someone trying to find himself and coming to the realization like this is his new world. He has to accept it. And it's driven really by the performance by Riz Ahmed. There is some Oscar buzz and highly deserved. Outside of the Venom movie, I've never seen him in anything. But he absolutely puts this movie on his back and carries it home. It was a really unique and good watch. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 for me. With the Sound of Metal on Amazon Prime. Now, let's get back to The Mandalorian, and this is what I'll wrap this up on. I'm not going to I am going to talk spoilers, so just fucking beware if you have not been caught up with this show. Last time I talked to you was like episode 2. Season 2 compared to season 1, obviously because they had to lay a lot of groundwork in season 1. Season 2 I enjoyed on so many more levels than season 1. I felt like this season only had like 1 or 2 filler episodes because I was worried it was trending into that monster of the week, but it picked up right in episode 3 or 4, whatever episode Jedi is called Jedi. And I don't watch the Clone Wars or Rebels, so I'm kind of lost with some of these characters. And that's when you get introduced to Rosario Dawson playing this Jedi, and it took me, it took me longer than I should have. It probably took me a minute to figure out that's Rosario Dawson. Before you even ask as is, yeah, absolutely I would. And you know what I'm talking about. This is Rosario Dawson. Even the way she looked in The Mandalorian, she'd get my best 20-second effort, is all I'm saying. But it picks up from there. Then you have like Bill Burrs in a couple episodes. I liked his storyline. He didn't do much in last season for that one episode. He came back for one episode this year, which I thought was going to be a filler episode, but it was one of the better episodes of the year. And again, because I'm going scriptless, I have no notes. I was surprised by some of the directors after the episode ended because, like Richard Rodriguez, I think he directed that one I'm talking about. So there's like some Bryce Dallas Howard. I always get tongue-tied. I know she directed one. Favreau, of course, directed one. So anyway, that was a good episode. But holy shit, the end of this, the last 15 to 10 minutes of this show was the best Star Wars thing I've seen since Empire Strikes Back. And can we just talk about Jon Favreau for a second? I mentioned this last year, but now that season 2 of The Mandalorian is complete, can this guy get more respect? One, I'm going to repeat myself. He came out, directed his first holiday movie, instant classic. Everyone fucking watches Elf multiple times a year. And then he brought me my best 10 years of movie-going experience with Iron Man and kicking off the MCU. Thank you very much. And then he fucking corrects Star Wars. And I know you true diehards probably have an issue with me saying that. It just is what it is. He actually, in a lot of these episodes, kind of corrected holes in the movies. Like the Palpatine storyline was kind of hinted at in this show. He totally corrected Boba Fett. And I can't wait for that one. But then the last 15 minutes of this show, oh my God. And if you know what I'm talking about, and I read this isn't my own thought, but there's a female moment like in the Endgame, but in this way it came together so organic and you didn't question it when the season's gone. Because if you look at Mando, when the Dark Stormtroopers or whatever are trying to get through the door, behind him is, because standing behind Mando is Gina Carano's character, there's Katie Sackhoff, and there's 3 or 4 other female characters, or 2 other female characters behind her, but it totally organic, unlike the Force moment we had in Endgame. So, and I know why they did it. That's why I'm not going to go crazy over it. But this one was just a natural fit, and I didn't even get it when you saw that one Jedi come into it. So here's a spoiler: if you haven't seen it, then don't listen to the rest of this podcast. But you see a Jedi come out and he's mowing down these dark stormtroopers, and you see the green saber. And at first I'm like, okay, I wasn't ready for it. I still didn't know who it was. Then he came busting through the door, and it was fucking Luke Skywalker. Being the kick-ass Luke Skywalker probably everyone wanted to see since Return of the Jedi. Like, this was his fucking moment that he's like a master Jedi and he's crushing these things. It was like an awesome scene. The music was queued up so beautifully to what was going on screen. It was the greatest 10 minutes, and he was there to fetch Baby Yoda and bring him home. And that was kind of a touching moment as well, because he had that connection with Mando. But, yeah, the de-aging, did it look great? No. So I know people are just bitching about that. But it didn't look as bad as that fucking Martin Scorsese movie that came out last year with Robert De Niro. I can tell you that. It was better than that. It was satisfying to see that. That was a great moment. Best moment I've seen in a show probably this year. And I know that's like the hot thing to say, but it just is. Like, and I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, so for that to geek me out, hats off, Jon Favreau. Again, I cannot wait to see where The Mandalorian goes season 3. I can't wait for that fucking Boba Fett fucking show. But yeah, that's it. So go check out The Mandalorian season 2. If you haven't, that's a 5 out of 5 for me with that show. Just everything they pieced together, all the holes they fixed in the movies, just having little to no filler episodes, and just how Pedro Pascal portrays The Mandalorian as that epic Clint Eastwood gunfighter, just fucking nails it. Awesome. So that's it. That's all I have for you. I told you it's not your typical Christmas show, but listen, folks, my house isn't being torn apart anymore. I have every room now available to me. My kids, come January, both be in school, thank God. So everyone, really seriously, enjoy your holiday season. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the food. I know I will. Just be kind to each other. Stay safe. Be well. Until then, go to my Facebook page, Media Mosh. Hit me up on the Twitterverse, @ShaneMediaMosh. More importantly, people, go to the Apple Podcast or download me, share me. It's the holidays. Let me into a friend's life. And we'll see how good of a friend that is. If they still talk to you afterward, then it's a good move. But then turn around and go check out Mr. Argue Myself, Chris Hodel, on Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitterverse. 3 different platforms for 3 different types of content. Until then, get caught up. Get caught up in the mosh.